This is a story of love that defied the rules of society, loyalty that withstood unimaginable trials, and justice that triumphed over corruption. It is called the Tale of Chunyang, one of Korea's most beloved folk tales, cherished for centuries. Imagine a world where love is forbidden between people of different classes, where a courtesan's daughter dares to fall in love with a nobleman's son. Would their love survive the barriers of society, the cruelty of injustice, and the test of time? This tale takes us on a journey of romance, sacrifice, and resilience. Set during Korea's Joseon dynasty, this story is a timeless reminder of the power of love and courage. Chunhyang, the beautiful and virtuous daughter of a courtesan, and Mongryong, the intelligent and noble son of a governor, embark on a journey that challenges every expectation. Together they face separation, hardship, and corruption, proving that love, when true, can overcome anything. Stay with me as we delve into this extraordinary story, where each twist and turn keeps us rooting for love and justice. What would you endure for the one you love? Let's find out. The story begins in Namwon, a town as picturesque as a painting. Nestled between lush green hills and flowing rivers, Namwon was a place where nature thrived and life seemed peaceful. The townspeople celebrated festivals with vibrant swings, music, and laughter, filling the air with joy. But beneath this beauty lay a society divided by class. The nobility lived in grand estates, enjoying the privileges of power and wealth, while the lower classes struggled to make ends meet. These divisions were unyielding, shaping the destinies of all who lived there. Among the bustling life of Namwon was Chunyang, a young woman of rare beauty and grace. Her name, which means spring fragrance, reflected her spirit, elegant and strong. Chunyang lived with her mother, Wolmei, a retired courtesan who had taught her daughter the values of dignity and virtue. Namwon's harmony would soon be disrupted by an unexpected meeting that would defy its rigid social order. In this picturesque town, during the lively spring festival, fate brought together two individuals from opposite worlds, setting the stage for a love story that would challenge tradition and endure the tests of time. Chunyang was no ordinary young woman. Born to Wolmei, a courtesan, she inherited her mother's beauty but not her profession. Wolmei had worked tirelessly to ensure that Chunyang could live a life of virtue, untainted by the stigma of her own past. Chunyang grew up learning grace, discipline, and the importance of standing by one's values. Her beauty was unmatched in Namwon, but it was her intelligence and dignity that truly set her apart. She carried herself with an elegance that made people forget her humble origins. She was proud, not of her looks, but of her character, a strength that would soon be put to the ultimate test. Chunyang's days were simple yet fulfilling. She helped her mother with household tasks, spent time enjoying Namwon's natural beauty, and occasionally joined in the town's festivities. But deep within her, there was a longing for something more. A desire for a life where she could live freely without being judged by her birth. Little did Chunyang know that her world was about to change forever. Her path would cross with someone from the highest social class, someone who would not only see her for who she truly was, but would also risk everything to love her. Mongryong, the only son of Namwon's governor that was born into privilege. From an early age, he was groomed for success, expected to follow in his father's footsteps and uphold the family's legacy. He was educated by the finest scholars and trained in the ways of leadership. But Mongryong was more than just a nobleman's son. He was kind-hearted and thoughtful, with a strong sense of justice. Unlike many of his peers, he did not look down on those of lower status. He believed that a person's character mattered more than their birth. As a young man, Monryong often felt constrained by the expectations placed upon him. He longed for a life where he could choose his own path, free from the weight of duty and tradition. His heart yearned for something more genuine, something that power and privilege could never provide. His world was about to shift dramatically. During Namwon's annual swing festival, fate would lead him to someone who would challenge everything he thought he knew about life, love, and courage. Little did he realize, this meeting would mark the beginning of a journey that would test his convictions and transform his destiny. It was the day of Namwon's Spring Festival, a celebration filled with music, laughter, and the joyous sound of swings creaking under the weight of merriment. Chunyang, dressed in a vibrant hanbok, was enjoying the festival, her laughter mingling with the lively atmosphere. As she swung gracefully beneath a willow tree, Monryong caught sight of her. He was immediately captivated. Her beauty was undeniable, but there was something more, an aura of confidence and elegance that drew him in. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Chunyang noticed him too, but she pretended not to. She was used to being admired, yet something about Monryong's gaze felt different. It wasn't just admiration. It was curiosity and sincerity. Their eyes met briefly, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. It was as if time slowed, and the bustling world around them faded into the background. For Monryong, it was love at first sight. For Chunyang, it was the beginning of something she couldn't yet name, but felt deeply. After the festival, Monryong could not stop thinking about Chunyang. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, graceful, dignified, and quietly confident. Their paths began to cross more frequently, often by the riverbanks or under the willow trees, where Chunyang liked to sit and read. Though they came from vastly different worlds, they found an undeniable connection in each other. Monryong admired Chunyang's strength of character, her intelligence, and the way she carried herself with quiet pride. Chunyang, in turn, was struck by his kindness and the way he seemed unburdened by the arrogance that often accompanied nobility. Despite his privileged background, Monryong treated her as an equal, seeing beyond her birth and status. Their relationship grew slowly but surely. Monryong would bring her small tokens of his affection, a flower he had picked, or a poem he had written. Chunyang, touched by his sincerity, would respond with a gentle smile or a thoughtful gesture. These moments, though simple, were filled with a profound sense of understanding and trust. As the days turned into weeks, their bond deepened into something neither of them could deny. They had found in each other a sense of belonging and a love that transcended the rigid boundaries of society. But as their connection grew stronger, so too did the awareness that their love was forbidden. The world outside their quiet shared moments would not be so kind. Their love blossomed despite the societal expectations that sought to keep them apart. Monryong, deeply in love and unwilling to let societal norms dictate his heart, made a bold decision. He proposed that they seal their bond through marriage, a private secret ceremony that would solidify their love without the approval or knowledge of others. On a serene evening under the full moon, Monryong and Chunyang pledged themselves to one another. With only the stars as witnesses, they exchanged heartfelt vows. Their union was simple yet profound, a promise to stand by each other through whatever trials life might bring. Chunyang wore a modest hanbok, her beauty radiant in the moonlight, while Monryong's eyes reflected both love and determination. Though there was no grand celebration, the sincerity of their commitment made the moment sacred. They had chosen love over fear, defying the rigid class system that sought to keep them apart. For a time they lived in the quiet happiness of their shared world, cherishing the moments they could steal away together. They imagined a future where they could live openly as husband and wife, unshackled by the chains of tradition. But even as they basked in their newfound joy, a storm was brewing on the horizon, one that would test the very foundation of their bond. In the days following their secret marriage, Chunhyang and Mongryong found joy in the smallest of moments. They would meet in the early hours of the morning, walking hand in hand through Namwon's lush fields, or share quiet evenings under the stars, speaking of their dreams for the future. Each stolen moment felt precious, a reprieve from the constraints of their world. Chunyang's laughter became Mongryong's favorite sound. It was a reminder of the life they were building together, a life filled with love and hope. For Chunyang, Mongryong's unwavering devotion became her anchor, giving her the strength to believe in a future where their love could thrive. They often imagined what their life would look like years down the road. Mongryong spoke of becoming a respected official, one who could protect the people and create a society where love like theirs would no longer be forbidden. Chunyang envisioned a home filled with warmth and laughter, where they could grow old together without fear of judgment. Their love gave them both a sense of purpose and a refuge from the rigid expectations of the outside world. For a brief time, they lived in a bubble of happiness, believing that their bond could withstand anything. But deep down, they both knew that their joy was fragile, vulnerable to the harsh realities of their society. Their idyllic days came to an end when Mongryong received an urgent summons from his father. He was to leave Namwon and travel to the capital to prepare for the state exams, a vital step in securing his future as a government official. This was not merely an expectation, it was a responsibility he could not avoid. For Chunyang, the news felt like a sudden blow. The thought of being apart from Mongryong filled her with an overwhelming sense of loss. Yet she understood that this was a path he had to take, not just for himself, but for the future they both dreamed of. As Mongryong prepared to leave, their time together became even more precious. They met one last time under the willow tree, the place where their love had first blossomed. Chunyang, though heartbroken, stood strong, refusing to let her sadness overshadow their parting moments. Mongryong promised that he would return, no matter how long it took, and that their love would endure the distance. Chunyang watched as he departed, her heart heavy but resolute. She clung to the hope that their love, tested now by time and separation, would only grow stronger. Little did they know that the trials ahead would challenge them in ways they could never have imagined. After Mongryong's departure, Chunyang's life was marked by an aching emptiness. The days stretched on endlessly, each one a reminder of his absence. Yet, her heart remained steadfast. She found solace in the memories of their time together and the promise that he would return. Every day, Chunyang looked to the horizon, imagining the moment when she would see Mongryong again. She kept herself busy with daily tasks, but no amount of work could fill the void left by his absence. The tokens of their love, a pressed flower, a folded note, became her most treasured possessions, reminders of the bond they shared. Despite the loneliness, Chunyang never wavered in her resolve. She believed deeply in Mongryong's promise and held on to the hope of their reunion. Yet as the months passed, a sense of unease began to creep into her life. Namwon was changing, and not for the better. The arrival of a new magistrate, known for his cruelty and greed, brought with it an air of tension. Chunhyang could feel the weight of his presence looming over the town, threatening the peace she had clung to. Even as she waited faithfully for Mongryong, she sensed that her trials were far from over. While Chunhyang waited faithfully for Mongryong, Namwon fell under the shadow of a new magistrate. This man was infamous for his greed and cruelty, a stark contrast to the just and honorable governance the townspeople had once known. From the moment he arrived, his actions made it clear that he viewed his position not as a responsibility to serve, but as an opportunity to exploit. The magistrate demanded heavy taxes from the people, punishing those who could not pay with public humiliation and imprisonment. Fear spread through Namwon, silencing dissent and forcing even the bravest to submit to his authority. Chunhyang, though far removed from politics, felt the magistrate's oppressive presence like a storm cloud hovering over the town. The magistrate's eyes soon fell upon Chunhyang. He first saw her during a public event and was immediately captivated by her beauty. To him, Chunhyang was not a person, but a prize to be claimed. He summoned her to his court, intending to make her his concubine. When Chunhyang stood before the magistrate, she carried herself with calm dignity. The magistrate, seated arrogantly on his dais, wasted no time in making his intentions clear. He wanted Chunhyang to become his concubine, a demand he expected to be met without resistance. After all, who would dare defy him? But Chunhyang, with unwavering resolve, refused. She declared that she was a married woman and that her heart belonged to her husband, Mongryong. Her words were firm, her gaze unflinching. The magistrate, unused to defiance, was both shocked and enraged. He dismissed her claims of marriage, sneering at the idea that the daughter of a courtesan could have a nobleman as a husband. His anger soon turned to threats. He warned Chunhyang that if she continued to defy him, she would face severe consequences. Yet, Chunhyang stood her ground. She refused to betray her love and loyalty, even when faced with the magistrate's fury. Her strength came not from arrogance, but from the deep conviction that her love for Mongryong was worth any sacrifice. The magistrate, humiliated and furious, ordered Chunhyang to be imprisoned. He believed that isolation and suffering would break her spirit. But Chunhyang, though afraid, remained resolute. She had endured the pain of separation. She could endure this too. Her love for Mongryong was her shield, and she would not yield, no matter what the magistrate did. The prison was cold and dark, its walls damp with neglect. Chunhyang was thrown into a small cell, her dignity stripped by the cruel guards who followed the magistrate's orders without question. The days were long and harsh, filled with physical discomfort and the emotional weight of her predicament. But even in the depths of her suffering, Chunhyang's spirit remained unbroken. She clung to the memory of Mongryong, drawing strength from the promises they had made to each other. Each time the magistrate sent guards to demand her submission, she refused with quiet defiance, her voice steady even as her body grew weaker. The townspeople, though powerless to help her, whispered among themselves of her courage. To them, Chunhyang became a symbol of resistance, a woman who refused to let fear dictate her actions. Her story spread, reaching even the most distant corners of Namwon, inspiring both admiration and sorrow. Inside her cell, Chunhyang often looked out through the small barred window, gazing at the sky. She imagined Mongryong returning, his smile erasing all the pain she had endured. It was this hope, this unshakable belief in their love, that kept her going. She endured the darkness, trusting that the light would return. Far away in the capital, Mongryong's life was taking a different turn. He had excelled in his studies, earning high marks in the state exams. His success brought him the prestigious title of Secret Royal Inspector, a position of great authority and responsibility. As a royal inspector, he was tasked with uncovering corruption and ensuring justice across the land. Although proud of his achievements, Mongryong's thoughts were never far from Chunyang. He often wondered how she was faring in his absence, trusting in her strength, but worrying about the challenges she might face. News of Namwon's new magistrate and his cruelty eventually reached Mongryong. When he learned that Chunyang had been imprisoned, his heart filled with both sorrow and determination. Mongryong realized that his new role gave him the power to act. With the authority of the king behind him, he could confront the magistrate and bring justice to Namwon. His mission was no longer just about fulfilling his duties as a royal inspector. It was about saving the woman he loved and protecting the integrity of their bond. As Mongryong prepared to return to Namwon, he carried with him not only the weight of his title, but the hope that he could finally reunite with Chunyang and end the suffering she had endured in his absence. Mongryong returned to Namwon in secret, dressed as a commoner to avoid attracting attention. He wanted to see for himself the state of the town and gather evidence of the magistrate's corruption. His heart ached as he walked through the familiar streets, now overshadowed by fear and despair. He observed the townspeople whispering in hushed tones about the magistrate's tyranny. They spoke of Chunyang's imprisonment and the courage she had shown in refusing to submit. Mongryong felt a surge of both pride and sorrow. He knew that Chunyang's suffering was a result of her loyalty to him. Mongryong's resolve hardened as he saw the injustice firsthand. He attended one of the magistrate's public events, blending into the crowd to witness the man's arrogance. The magistrate basked in his power, unaware that the quiet young man watching him was the royal inspector who would soon bring about his downfall. After gathering enough evidence, Mongryong prepared to act. The time had come to reveal his true identity and confront the man who had brought so much pain to the woman he loved and the town he cared for. The magistrate hosted a grand event in Namwon, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. The townspeople, forced to attend, watched with weary faces as he paraded his wealth and power. Among the crowd was Mongryong, still disguised as a commoner but carrying the authority of his position as a secret royal inspector. When the magistrate arrogantly demanded the people's praise, Mongryong stepped forward. With a steady voice, he addressed the crowd, revealing his true identity as the royal inspector sent by the king to investigate corruption. A hush fell over the gathering as the magistrate's smug expression turned to one of fear. Mongryong presented evidence of the magistrate's crimes, the unjust taxes, the wrongful imprisonment of innocents, and the mistreatment of Chunyang. He denounced the magistrate's tyranny, his words resonating with the people who had suffered under the corrupt official's rule. The magistrate, now trembling, attempted to defend himself, but it was too late. Mongryong ordered the guards to seize him, stripping him of his power and authority. The townspeople erupted in cheers, their voices filled with relief and gratitude. Justice had finally been served. Mongryong's first act of justice was to free Chunyang. He rushed to the prison, his heart pounding as he approached the cell where she had been held. When the door creaked open, Chunyang stood before him, weak but unbroken. Her dignity, even in her suffering, shone brightly. The sight of her resilience moved Mongryong deeply, and he vowed to never let her endure such pain again. Chunyang and Mongryong's reunion was a moment of profound emotion. As she stepped out of the dark confines of the prison, her eyes met his, and tears began to fall. But these were not tears of despair. They were tears of relief, joy, and love. The promise they had made to each other had endured through distance, hardship, and cruelty. Mongryong, overcome with emotion, embraced Chunyang. He whispered words of reassurance, but it was his presence, his unwavering love, that spoke volumes. Chunyang, though weakened by her ordeal, felt her strength returning in his arms. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them in their moment of triumph. When they emerged together, hand in hand, the townspeople erupted in applause. Chunyang, once vilified by some for her defiance, was now a symbol of courage and integrity. Mongryong, standing beside her, was a beacon of justice and honor. Together, they represented hope for a better, fairer world. The sunlight bathed them as they walked through the streets. The heavy burden of separation finally lifted. Their love had not only survived, but thrived, proving that true commitment could withstand even the greatest challenges. Chunyang smiled, the first genuine smile in what felt like forever, as she looked at the man who had risked everything for her. The tale of Chunyang is not just a story of romance. It is a testament to the power of loyalty, courage, and resilience. Chunyang's unwavering devotion to Mongryong and her refusal to compromise her principles, even under immense pressure, remind us of the strength that lies within integrity. Mongryong's determination to bring justice, not just for Chunyang, but for the entire town, speaks to the value of using one's power for good. Together, their love challenged societal norms, defied expectations, and emerged victorious against all odds. Their story continues to inspire people across generations, transcending cultural and temporal boundaries. It teaches us that love is not just about passion. It is about standing together through life's greatest trials. It shows that justice, though often delayed, will prevail when pursued with courage and truth. As the couple walked toward their new future, they carried with them the lessons of their journey. The townspeople would remember them not only as lovers, but as symbols of hope and integrity. Their story, passed down through the ages, remains a shining example of the enduring power of love and justice.